Hey, well, it's JMA Friday today, so we're going to have a look at weather for the coming month across the British Isles. This takes off in towards the middle of May, and we're also going to have a look at the CFS V2 and Beijing Climate Centre as well, so a lot to be getting on with today. As I said, it's taking us towards the end of next month, or certainly into the middle of next month, in terms of Beijing Climate Centre going off towards the end of next month with this update. So we'll soon be thinking about getting through to summer, can you believe? Now, very good on that, just to say about the ads, there's links to articles on all of the pages at gasservice.com. Have a browse through those widgets. If there's any articles that you're interested in, please click through. You have to go off and read those articles. So, because you're going from Gas Office to where that article is, we get a revenue fee on what you're doing. Thanks so much for doing that. There's also video ads on most pages. They open out within the content, and then they close up again when you've watched them. So, if you give those ads a watch, you'll be able to pay for the website. They're quite short, so you won't be sitting around too long watching them. And as I say, thanks very much for doing that. All these things are paying for the website, so it's important to get involved. Thanks so much for doing that for the website. So let's start off with some temperature, see what's happened in April so far. Here we go from Hadley. The anomaly is provisional up to the 16th, so it's provisional up to yesterday. We're coming out at 9.6 degrees so far, which is an anomaly, can you believe, 2.5 degrees above average. That could be a little bit overdone. When we get to the end of that might get corrected downwards a little bit, but even so, it won't be by that much. It is turning out to be another significantly warmer than average April. We've had a run of very warm Aprils over the past few years. 2011, of course, the warmest on record, and before that, 2007. So I might have a look at this in a video another time, perhaps on Sunday. We have had some very warm Aprils recently, and it looks like this one, 2015, is just another one really to add to the mix. The April month-ahead forecast from Gas Weather is going to be wrong this month because we predicted temperatures around average, maybe a little bit above average, but certainly not a big deviation like this. So not going to be a very good April month-ahead forecast this time. But I had a good run through January through to March, so sooner or later something was going to go wrong. Let's see what's going to happen for the coming month then, or what may be happening for the coming month. Always have to put that caveat in because these are all experimental, these long-range models, so they can't be relied upon. It's just really a heads up for what they're showing. But you can never take this as a given by any means, these longer range updates. So the first weekly period with the JMA 500 mm high scope taking us from the 17th to the 24th of April. Orange and yellow is extrapolating to high pressure, and blue is extrapolating to low pressure. So what we see for the coming week is that we've got an anomalously high area of high pressure sitting over the country. The jet stream is going like that around the high pressure, so we're still on the mild side of the jet. That's why I've had a warm month, because the jet's been shunted off up towards Greenland and Iceland somewhere. We're still going to have another mild week coming up under a ridge of high pressure mainly, so it is going to be largely dry. It will be cooler than it has been. Going to start to bring in cooler air from the east over the weekend, but even so, temperatures will be holding up okay. It's not going to be cold by any means. And that high pressure should keep it mainly dry as well. Been a very dry April so far. But as we go through to the next weekly period, this is going from the 24th of April through to the 1st of May, the JMA is still going for this big flip around as we get through into the end of the month. It's been very consistent with this, but we get to the end of April, we see a big change in the weather pattern to a more unsettling, colder pattern. It's still going for this. It's got a trough of low pressure sitting more or less to the east or northeast of the country, somewhere around Scandinavia, and the jet stream probably going southwards, so on the cool side of the jet there with that trough. We're probably also bringing down sort of northerly, certainly northwesterly, but maybe northerly flows across the country. So it's unsettling cooler as we go through to those final days of April. As I said, it's been a very consistent signal from the JMA to do that. Then as we go through to the final 2-week period, this takes us from the 1st of May through to the 15th. It's staying unsettled. The trough of low pressure shifts more towards the northwest of the country out into the Atlantic, which has the effect of shifting the jet stream more or less over us and pulling the winds into the west. So temperatures will be recovering. That's probably good news. As we get through into May, temperatures will be lifting back up, probably towards the seasonal average. But it's unsettled because the trough of low pressure is driving things. High pressure building through the Mediterranean, that could eventually start to push northwards and sort of lift out that trough. But that may be more for week 2. I think overall the signal for the start of May, as it has been, again, consistently, is quite unsettled, certainly from the Japanese model. Let's have a look at the CFS-V2. Again, these are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first week period, going from the 15th to 21st of May, it's not updated for a couple of days. The first week period has the high pressure in across the country, so again, good agreement with the JMA for the high pressure to be dominating. We're on the mild side of the jet. It's going to be mainly dry, and will be relatively mild as well, so we could pick up a chillier easterly wind, but it's not going to be particularly cold. As we go through to the next week period, the 22nd to 28th, signs of the change taking place. Again, that ridge goes off into towards the central part of the Atlantic and starts to pull up towards Greenland as well. Quite interesting. There's the trough in over Scandinavia, and the flow with that, of course, goes sort of northerly, northwesterly, maybe northerly, so it turns cooler. It turns more unsettled. I'm not sure that's quite as unsettled as the JMA solution, because this ridge is still relatively close to us, so it's blocking off the Atlantic. But it is more unsettled anyway as we go through into the final week of April, and it is cooler also. We move through into the next week period, going from the 29th of April to the 5th of May. The trough is still in there over Scandinavia. And we've got a bit of a ridge down to the southwest, but jet stream and the flow is generally northwesterly there. So it's most unsettled in the north. It's driest, but not completely dry, probably down in the south. Temperatures relatively disappointing, I would suspect. We'll have a look at how the temperatures are stacking up with that in a moment. And then we get through to the final weekly period, going from the 6th of May to the 12th of May, and a little bit difficult to work out what's going on here. We've got a bit of a ridge somewhere around Iceland. There's a trough down across Spain and also in the Atlantic. Very hard to work out quite what is going on. I would suspect this is sort of elongating like that, so we're probably turning unsettled through that weekly period with the low pressure coming in off the Atlantic. But that's a tricky one to decipher. Sometimes, particularly over an extended range, these longer range models sort of lose the plot a little bit, and I think what is actually going on there is that the model isn't really having a clear picture of what's emerging. It's too far away to pick up on a definitive signal, so it's sort of bits and pieces of pressure here and there, and I think we hadn't better dwell on that one too much. So have a look at how the temperatures stack up with this for those weekly periods. The first weekly period, the 15th to 23rd, the high pressure is in, of course, across the country, so we're coming out warmer than average. It's a continuation of the pattern that we've had through April, significantly warmer than average, with anomalies up to 2 degrees above average. We go through to the 22nd to the 28th. This is a period where it's seeing the change as high pressure pulls into the Atlantic. That trough forms over Scandinavia, and we're going colder than average then. Not significantly so, but we are going onto the cooler side of average during the last week of April. That persists in towards the start of May. This is the temperature anomaly for the 29th to the 5th of May, and round average, a little bit cooler than average up in the north. And then for the final weekly period, going from the 6th to the 12th of May, remember, this is a period where the pressure anomaly looked rather odd, but the temperature anomaly quite consistently or quite clearly is going cooler or colder than average. So I suggested that low pressure probably extending in through that weekly period off the Atlantic, and I will think the temperature anomaly does back that up a little bit. The rainfall anomaly, the precipitation anomaly through the course of the coming month stacks up like this. The first week period, obviously under high pressure, going to be drier than average in those orange colours. The next week period, more unsettled, so the precipitation anomaly then is going up to around average. So it's not a desperately wet week, but it is wetter than it has been through most of April. The next week period, going from the 29th to the 5th of May, shows that we're round average, near normal precipitation. So again, that implies a more unsettled week than we have had through most of April, because most of April has been significantly drier than average. So even if precipitation is only going back towards normal, that is more unsettled than it has been. And then we end up for that final week period from the 6th of May to the 12th of May, we end up again near normal with the precipitation. So not a desperately wet signal by any means, but certainly more unsettled than we have had it on both the JMA and the CFS as we end April and go into the start of May. Finally, the Beijing Climate Centre is stacking up like this. These are 500 millibar high anomalies broke down into 10-day period. So the first 10-day period goes from the 16th of April through to the 25th. And with this one, again, the ridge is in there across the country. So all models are agreeing for the coming period, we've got the high pressure in, the jet stream is to the north, something like that. So that one is okay. And then this flip around occurs from the 26th of April through to the 5th of May. There's the trough of below average heights to the north of the country. The jet stream is coming south with that trough, so it's turning cooler, it's turning more unsettled as we end April and go into the start of May. It's an unsettled and cooler signal. Again, probably not a washout, but more unsettled than we have had it. The next 10-day period going from the 6th of May to the 15th shows that the trough is still in. It's more centred to the northwest, so the flow going westerly, very much in agreement with the JMA actually, and the CFS as well was doing this for the flow to go more westerly. So temperatures probably lift up, but it's still relatively unsettled 10-day period. And then we finish up on the 16th to the 25th of May. Again, we're seeing quite weak, but overall still relatively unsettled probably. There's some low pressure below heights to the southwest and to the northwest, but a bit of a ridge building over Scandinavia. So maybe the flow going something like that. We could be turning warmer through that final 10 days of May. Temps could be lifting up, but with sort of low pressure below heights in the vicinity of the country, if the temperature did lift up like that, we'd probably have to think about thunder being set up, but we won't go into that too much. Let's come back to the coming period. It's still the idea that we've had since we did the April month-end forecast, actually, that after lots and lots of dry weather through most of the month, we get to the final days of April, we get a change to more unsettled, not a washout, not desperately wet, but more unsettled conditions, and temperatures slide away, and that takes us into the start of May as well. Now, we've got agreement across all three models for this. The JMA, the CFS-V2, and the Beijing Climate Centre are all showing this change at the end of the month and into the start of May to cooler and more unsettled conditions. So we'll see how it pans out. In theory, it's a very strong signal, and this should be the way things go. But sometimes breaking down high pressure is not that easy, and the models can sort of try to break it down too quickly, try to break out of the pattern too quickly. Other times they can get a bit stuck in a rut and they don't actually see the breakdown that occurs. So let's wait and see what happens. We are seeing signals on the shorter range models, GFS and ECM, to turn it more unsettled and cooler for the end of the month. Let's wait and see how it pans out. And the weekend forecast tomorrow will sort of be dealing with this time frame beginning to go up towards the last week of the month. So we'll deal with all of this in weekend forecast tomorrow, come back for that. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching.